Karen in Windsor. Hello, Karen.
Good morning, Mr. Clegg.
Morning.
Without wishing to give you a platform to politicise, I wanted to ask why it is that you and many other politicians do not consider the economic well-being and growth of areas around Heathrow and their dependency on the Heathrow factory for the continued economic comfort that these areas enjoy. Without expansion, the areas around Heathrow and the 250,000 plus direct and indirect jobs enjoyed by those people and their families and loved ones, and the wealth that expands to local businesses in the form of available cash to spend will, of course, be impacted.
Karen,
why have I not got a voice?
No, well,
I live under the flight. Well, exactly, which is why I'm calling. I live under the flight path, and I still accept, regardless of the impact that it has on me, that we need growth in this area to be able to continue to enjoy the way we live currently.
Well, Karen, of course you've got a voice, and it's great. You've got you're expressing your views on this programme, and no doubt through your local MP and others, you should express your views as well. Of course, I'm aware that there are lots of people whose jobs are dependent in the Heathrow area on the airport. I just got to tell you my point of view. My point of view has always been why I've always opposed the certainly the plans that I've seen in the past for the expansion of Heathrow is because of the environmental effects. I'm not going to endorse any plan of airport expansion which would increase the existing levels of noise and air pollution, or would breach the climate change targets that we've all signed up to. Now, look.
So you're against the Davis report recommendation?
Well, I'm deeply sceptical that of the case of expanding aviation in a way which if unless someone can show me that can be done in a way which meets those environmental tests. Because the reason myself and my party have opposed this, and this is important for Karen and people like her to understand this, is not just it's not for some no reason at all. It's for the environmental reasons. We have to somehow square the circle of making sure that we have aviation capacity to keep ourselves a competitive, open economy, but not to throw the baby out of the bathwater and turn our backs on our environmental obligations or make noise and air pollution worse than it already is for many, many hundreds of thousands of Londoners.
So coming back to Karen's point, the jobs obviously that are driven by Heathrow expansion, what do you say to that, or the possibility of losing those jobs?
Well, look,
they'll go to Frankfurt, they'll go to Amsterdam, they'll go to wherever they'll go.
As it happens, the Davies Commission have tabled, as you know, two options in Heathrow, one in Gatwick, and they're doing this separate work on the so-called Boris Island. So, it's not necessarily whether it goes to Frankfurt. If you advocate Gatwick, then
so you quite like the idea of the island airport, then? Is that your?
No.
You're worried about noise. I get that. I totally get that. You're worried about the environment. So you do want an airport, but you don't know where you want it.
What I do not want to see aviation expansion take place in the southeast of England in a way that would make air or noise pollution worse than it currently is, or would breach our climate change targets. Because, without going into lots of sort of techie detail, we've got these pretty clear...
Well, where are we going to land the planes, Mr. Clegg?
Well, look, but here's the interesting thing. If you look at the Davies report, the interim report, and look, at the end of the day, I'm a sort of person who generally tries to be led by the evidence, and I'll wait to obviously read the final Davies report. And any reasonable person, however strong their feelings are, and mine are on this issue, will of course wait to read the final report. You've got to be led by the evidence. But you see, in his interim report, he actually makes some quite subtle arguments about whether, if you are basically in favour of airport expansion, you then have to decide why you're doing it. Now, some people say you need to do it to create a hub, and that's what the people around Heathrow say, it's the hub, it's the hub, it's the hub. He actually says in the report, there's quite a strong case to say that the real growth in aviation in the future is going to be for these so-called point-to-point flights. So, in other words, not hub flights, not ones where you need connections to ongoing flights elsewhere. And that's the case for Gatwick. Now, look, I'm not an aviation expert, which is exactly why politicians, I think, rightly have said, let these aviation experts get on with it. But as for where I am very rigid is on the environmental tests in all of this. That's the reason I've always been
So if Boris Island passed those tests, you'd be happy with it?
Well, look, I've seen no one explain to me how Boris Island could remotely pass those tests. But I mean,
you don't seem to like the idea of Heathrow or Gatwick.
I don't like the idea of turning our back on our environmental commitments, or making, particularly our climate change commitments, or making existing noise and air pollution levels worse. Now, there are a whole lot of other factors that people will need to bring to bear. Other people will be more concerned about, the local effects of building this island.